All right, welcome back to Lovecraft Country, episodes 4 through 6 review. We have everybody with us. Raven is finally with us now, or as we call her, Rogue Akram now. We have changed her name to Rogue Akram. Shout out to Teddy Simpson. Teddy Simpson,
I'm telling
aka
you.
Patrick Mahomes.
No, dog, don't get take that. Go on, take that one back. I'm not accepting that. And we all know why.
Go listen to our Black Quarterbacks podcast. We described Teddy Simpson as Patrick Mahomes, the person
That's cool. I'm gonna have Raven
loves.
coming over and slap you so she can take your power, nigga.
No, but it's dope. The description me and Matt came up was dope. So basically, go over there and listen to that. The top black quarterbacks and who they would be in regular life. And Teddy is Patrick Mahomes. We made a direct, besides his personal stuff, we're talking about, because Teddy would be the nicest guy. Everybody loves him, and he's at everybody's wedding. And he also brings through food and drink to your parties.
Yeah.
That's probably true.
And even if he barely knows you.
Even if I barely know. That might be true.
Yeah, see?
You can come over to my house. I've been married for a couple of years.
That's cool, man. I can come over. It ain't going to be alcoholic drink, though. We're going to be on some food.
Teddy, get all your mixes, all your ice.
Fantastic.
All right, so we got these couple episodes. First of all, I want to give props to Raven, who gave a prediction earlier, and I was like, me and Teddy were like, I don't know about that, son.
Didn't make sense.
Literally
Couldn't see it.
Didn't see it.
I was blinded.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty obvious that Christina and William were the same person. I'm like, are we not watching the same show? There were so many different hints.
I get, but it didn't make sense, at least
Why
to
not?
me, because then why not just be William and be in the order? But I wasn't thinking that William was her brother, because then everybody would have known that William isn't alive, so then they would know it was her. I think that's the part that threw me.
I mean, it was an intentional misdirect, right? It's like, because like you said, had they turned into it, it would have been a better play for her just to pretend to be William and join the order in the first place. But for her just to become William so she could sit in the room and observe, because her father would have to know that she's not William.
Right, exactly.
So it was an intentional misdirect, and they got us. Good call, Raven.
Yeah, definitely good call. So my thing is, going to what you just said though, Scott, do you think that her father knew that wasn't her? I mean, that they were the same person?
I mean, I would think he would have to. I mean, presumably all the magic that she knows, she learned from her father, or some derivative of that. So for this secret order to have all order members there, besides these 3 black people who just showed up, who presumably had some lineage that made them significant. Just some random other dude showing up. There's no other way to explain William's presence if her father didn't know that it was her, and he was just saying, "Okay, well, look, you can come and sit in. You put on a little cloak to become a dude, and now we just let you sit in the room." But nothing else makes sense. Like, how else would he have found that, been interested in the order, had that insight to participate in the whatever level he participated in, even though he had no other reason to be there other than being her friend?
Good point. So Raven, how did you come up with that ahead of time? You just thought it was obvious, or?
Yeah, I mean, there were several comments that William and Christina made. William in particular, before that order meeting, he said something to Journey Smollett's character about, unfortunately it's men only. And the way that he said it, that was kind of the first hint that I had, that, there was some type of feeling about, inequality between men and women. And it just seemed like William cared a little bit too much. And then it was just like, you never saw them in the same room together. And then there were women's clothes hanging in William's closet, so there were a few different things that kind of made me think that pretty early on.
I didn't notice that at all.
I didn't notice none of that. That made, wow, that was,
I mean,
I didn't notice any of this till you just said this.
I noticed when William said it, but I thought it was more of like she's his. People assume that he was his brother, and I think somebody had said earlier online that William in the book was
as a man.
As a man, as her butler.
Yeah.
So I thought it was that sort of relationship, like that the Alfred to Batman sort of situation, where they're just always in this protection mode. Yeah. I guess the thing that threw me off, and I had to go back and watch all those episodes, but I didn't know if William was ever in the same place as the other people in the order. Like, I always remember him being on the outskirts, like when, Tick and them arrived, or, when he roped up those police officers, whatever. But I don't know if he was ever around during that, during the time that the order was, like, in session.
Mm-hmm.
I have to address something. He was in no way Alfred to Batman like that. He was in no way playing that role, because Alfred's role to Batman was way more gangster than what this was. I have to come to Alfred's defense on that one right here.
I mean, they got that Alfred series they dropping, or they already dropped those. It was, I think it's on Epics or somewhere. It shows the life of Alfred before he became the butler.
Uh-huh.
And he's supposed to be like an MI6 agent or something crazy like that.
He's gangster for real. I've never seen the show saying Alfred's gangster.
So with that, like, I think that episode was, and that's episode, we're talking about episode 5. That one was a very, very, I like every episode is almost a different movie. I feel like a different concept of a different movie every time. And I think that's the beauty of it, that every time you come to an episode, you get this, you're seeing some kind of different motif of a story.
It's the Hardy Boys with the overarching thing.
That's a good example. Yes, the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys. It's episode 5 with her turned into being white, and the whole thing that was kind of dope was she was realizing that maybe she didn't want to be white, or what did y'all think about her, like, kind of rejecting the whole thing of being someone else for that long, first loving it and then kind of rejecting it?
I think most Black people love being Black.
Yeah.
We don't love the oppression. So I think that she appreciated the opportunity to walk around truly free, but especially when they were showing the scenes where she went to the Black bar, you still want to be amongst your own people as you, but she still wanted to see what it felt like just to live with, the benefits that white women live with every day. So, but I think she still probably loved being Black more. And I think that's what most of us feel.
I mean, did y'all think it was interesting that she, and this is something, and I'll let you go in a second, Scott, but everybody think about this. Is it that when you clone someone, they have to be dead? Almost kind of like because the other woman, that was basically the other woman that was the dog cat, with the dogs and stuff earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yes, same here.
Did she die? Did she die in the episode? Was it 2 or 3?
2. She was in the windmill or whatever.
Right, but did she die? I mean, I know that he hit her.
I thought she. I mean, I'm assuming she died just because the real William, I guess, is dead. So that's why, because I guess they didn't know that the real William wasn't dead. I guess that other lodge. I think that story that she told about that he lost his place was real.
Yeah, I don't know. That's not entirely clear. What goes into them taking on a specific form. But I mean, I think that's a reasonable theory that, they are collecting something from somebody who was once living to, carry out the spell of transformation or metamorphosis.
Go ahead, Scott. We were talking about the changing up, the being a Black and being white for the moment.
Well, I mean, I personally thought it was an interesting take on a journey that was more linear for us to follow. So it's easy for us to follow. She woke up, she's white, she can get this job. She overheard, her white coworker saying things about Black people that they may or may not have said in front of her, but they still wanted to go on the wild side, so to speak, to go into those Black neighborhoods. And then there was the shoe rape scene, which was a lot. But I felt like that narrative.
My favorite scene.
But I felt like that narratively was a misdirect from what was happening with Michael K. Williams. So Michael K. Williams, in that same episode, after the end of episode 4, he murders the person that was in the tombs that came back to life. Mm-hmm. And I believe the only thing he actually said in that episode was when they asked about the person from the tombs, he said, "She's gone." There's 2 things I thought was important about that. A, he gave a gender identifier to she when they made it a point to show that they were a hermaphrodite and had sexual organs. And then, we assumed that it was because he was trying to protect his son from whatever it is that's happening with this magical order. But then the rest of the episode, all we see him go on his own sexual exploration and freeing himself to whatever confines or restraints he thought he had to have because he was a gay man in the 50s or whatever. And so for me, it took a little bit of a turn, because now we see, on one hand, Ruby is expressing herself culturally by showing her dominance to the white guy she raped with the shoe. But then conversely, Michael K. Williams' character is expressing himself sexually and coming to grips with himself. So I feel like the reason he killed that person in the tombs wasn't the same reason the conclusion we all jumped to. And I felt like everything else that we could kind of follow just linearly was a misdirect for that. Very similar to how they did the shape-shifting stuff earlier, So that was my little take.
Ted?
I think it was just one of those moments where you had that realization that everything that glitters ain't gold, right? Like, it kind of knocked down all of her reasons for not being able to get to this position or get what she wanted while she was black. And I think that was the whole point of, like, when they had the conversation about the young black woman that got the job, who got it literally just because she applied. And it made her upset because all the stuff that she was giving herself, or like telling herself why she couldn't get the job, was because basically got wiped out the window when the young girl gave her reason on why she was. Because, when she was a white woman interviewing for the position, number one, he gave her the manager's position over the entire department. But when she talked about all the list of credentials that she did or that she had, it was nothing compared. It was way more than what old girl had at the counter. So she seemed surprised. Like, I feel like she even asked a question like, did she do this, and that? And he was like, oh, no. She doesn't. The people didn't have those sort of credentials that she had. So to me, it made it seem like she did all this stuff to prepare to get this position, and none of that was necessary, which is probably part of the reason she was angry, right?
Like, none of that means anything. None of that meant anything.
Well, it was just like, it was the idea that black people have to go above and beyond to be in the same space as white folks. And it wasn't true, because the person they hired had the exact same same criteria. But like Raven was saying, the other thing too, I think they were also trying to play on the fact, like, her speech was still confined regardless of where she was going. So when she went in there, she, as a woman, she still couldn't say a lot. Then she gets around people, and because she's a black woman posing as a white woman, they're making black comments, and she can't say anything because it gives away her position, right? So I think a lot of that is just, again, everything unless you were like specifically a white person, like all the way through, soul and all. So at the end, that's that whole catharsis. She says, forget it. I'm bust out, and I'm gonna let you have it for everything that you've been saying, everything you've been thinking. And then it also makes me think about what we were talking about earlier, his dude's relationship with black women. Because I think me and you read the situation differently, but when Ruby asked the white women, had dude tried anything with them? And they were like, oh no, like they just posed him up as a good Christian man who doesn't really do anything. He's all about his business. But the moment they go out, the one person he's on is the one person he can manipulate the most, which was the black girl, right? And she bit him in the lip, and she ran, the young one.
Right, but that's why I thought she got that job. I didn't think it was a lack of qualifications. I thought he was sexually attracted to her.
Oh, that's probably part of it.
He gave her the job because he, that's why I got out of it. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what I took out of it.
What did you all think about her interactions with the black woman as the white woman?
I love
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, so I thought it was interesting because I think there are often like well-meaning white women who think they're giving you good advice that's not necessarily race-based. And so I was trying to listen to her and, look at her as Ruby giving this advice and not this white woman. And it was kind of hard to separate it because I've had very similar interactions. And I always wonder, like, would I be receiving this information differently if it was a black woman saying it to me?
But that was kind of the point, though, right? Like
Yeah, right.
that's what
That's
they
what I was
did.
thinking.
Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
point of
absolutely.
it is to say, hey, I want to show the audience that she's in fact a black woman and she's saying these things, but look how it feels coming from a white woman. And
Yeah.
even Ruby herself, being a black woman in white woman's skin, had to take a second, a beat, and go, hold up. How's this sound coming from me? You know?
Yeah, and I was wondering, do you guys have similar interactions? Like, with white men trying to give you advice that you might receive a different way if it was coming from a black man, even though they're the same words.
Absolutely, all the time.
Oh, 100%. More of anything I run into is the idea of the thing of that white people giving you advice, assuming you don't know it already, or you don't have any basis of knowledge already. Like they do like, well, if you put your money in a savings account, you get 2.2%. Like, okay, like I didn't even. That's but why'd you assume I wouldn't know about a savings account? Like basic shit.
When I
Right.
first got to college, I went on an interview and I handed them my resume, and they read the resume and looked at me, and I'm there in a suit at the time of the interview. And they go,
At the time of the interview.
Are you sure? Am I sure that's my name? Like, you're just randomly interviewing for people's jobs with their resume. Like, just you can't get a resume.
Posing, man. You're over here posing, Scott.
I am.
Yeah, but as an attorney who practices employment discrimination, when I get these race-based claims in, I'm like, are you believing that this was racial because of what you perceive the person's motive to be based on your race? Like, if you would receive the information differently based on the race of the person giving it, at one point does your own sort of subconscious bias or conscious bias factor into the way that you perceive whether somebody is racist?
Yeah, but I mean, America don't really get the benefit of the doubt today, right? I'm saying like today, you can't say, oh, well, maybe you're just being super sensitive. Actually, I'm not, like Breonna Taylor. There's just tons of things that happen every day that the benefit of the doubt to say a situation isn't racist. I think is lost on it. There are things that my parents and my sister and my family can say to me that I could say, even though it pisses me off, is a constructive criticism. Somebody I barely know trying to give me life advice based upon a couple moments with me, a couple interactions with me, it seems a little disingenuous.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I just thought it was interesting.
What?
I don't know. I feel like it can be. It's weird. Like they can be giving life advice, and sometimes it'll feel like charity because they feel bad about what's going on, right? I don't know. I feel like it can go a number of different ways. I think for me, 9 times out of 10, I'm questioning like why I'm getting this, information. Like, are you literally telling me this like because you feel like it'll help me, or is there like a superiority complex, like because you feel like you need to pass some shit down? You know what I'm saying? Or are you legitimately trying to help me? But it's weird because when in the workplace, America thrives off of competition. So very rarely is somebody trying to unless that's going to make them look good. Are they going to be passing down knowledge that's going to be helpful for just you, right?
Sure. If someone is actually your professional mentor, that's a different conversation, right? You can at least say that the nature of that relationship puts them in a position to give you, you're literally asking them for their advice and guidance. But when you look at situations where just unsolicited, let's just talk about the business world, unsolicited advice. Well, I mean, how many times you're in a room or you're in a meeting and someone just thinks you're there because you are the affirmative action hire, or you're the diversity pick, or or that you weren't qualified, you got the job somehow because of whatever circumstances they imbue on you. But conversely, if nepotism happens for them, he's a good guy, I vouch for him. He's my uncle's kid, this, that, and the other. I mean, you see all these different variances of this of this play out in the business world all the time. Wells Fargo. Talk about how
Yeah.
there weren't enough diverse candidates, right? Wells Fargo's been doing a shit job running this bank for the last decade, but all of a sudden
Yeah.
they can't hire any qualified Black people, because that's just a sentiment that exists. And when you see a CEO of a major bank who's already had racial discrimination lawsuits come out the last couple of years, still feel comfortable enough 2 days ago, saying that, hey, there's just not enough qualified Black candidates.
Even though we got Black people in our ranks, right? Exactly.
It just doesn't. You just don't get the benefit of the doubt yet. I mean, it just don't get the benefit of the doubt.
Dang, no, that's real. Yeah. Dang, yeah. And it's interesting even more how that character, like when she found out, it's like she was shocked and upset, but then she wasn't at the same time. She was like, because I've been doing it too. Like, I've been taking this too. So therefore, I shouldn't be surprised that you were somebody else as well. You've been putting me on game. Obviously you've been doing it as well. So let's dive a little bit more into like this last episode 6, and we'll come back to kind of everything together. 4, I kind of felt was like Indiana Jones's. I didn't feel like it was too much, but it was just like a big epic adventure. Besides the fact the idea that the elevator went all the way to Boston. Me and Ted talked about that. How the elevator went all the way to Boston, I guess.
Yeah.
Or that cavern went all the way to Boston.
Well, there's obviously some sort of magic involved.
Yeah.
Well, we'll show them niggas hitting the portal then.
Right.
You took the Underground Railroad. They was there like 15 minutes, and they was walking.
Right.
So episode 6, Ted, did what I said about it when I told you to watch it? Was it kind of exactly what I said?
Yeah. It kind of threw me for a loop a little bit.
Yeah.
I just like the fact that it shows people like it's real. I don't want to say it's hard. Well, right now, the only people that really don't have like a tainted past, and by tainted mean like their actions, what they're doing, and maybe we haven't got into it yet, is like Ruby or the Black women, right? Like you looking.
What about Journey's role?
That's what I'm talking about.
Context, how did you describe it, Daryl?
Oh, yeah. So I call it Ted. So basically, I said it's not the most exciting episode, but it's the biggest character development episode. Okay. I feel like, especially particularly for Tic on the back end, but as well as it was basically Mrs. Saigon. I felt with a mystic experience to it. So it had that feel of Mrs. Saigon.
Okay.
Of type of feel, but it was a deeper, and it was made more development of what's going on and how we got to where we are, instead of like, oh, it's action packed, crazy shit happens.
Okay.
I mean, that was crazy shit that did happen, obviously, but it wasn't like hitting you like the other episodes have been.
Nigga, she turned out to be. She was Naruto, dog.
That was what I was trying to figure out. The name. Is that the name of it? Is that the name of it? Naruto.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was fantastic.
Japanese, but still.
Yeah.
So I mean, Raven, what'd you think about this last episode?
Can we back up real quick though, because to cover the Indiana Jones episode?
Yeah, go back, go again.
What happened to Hippolyta and Dee at the end? And I expect they're going to go back to that. I guess according to the previews, they are for episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just wanted to talk a little bit about what's the solar system thing called that Hippolyta had?
That's what the blonde woman is looking for.
Right. What is it called? I'm sorry.
I forget.
Anyway, but there's also a callback to Wonder Woman and her mom. Have you all heard anything about that or have any thoughts on that?
Oh, so you think it's an Amazonian thing that we're finna get in this next episode?
Right.
It looked like it in the previews.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, to answer your question about this, the last...
Or the Dora Milaje.
Yeah. I'm excited about the next one. But about this past episode, Scott, what is she called? I forgot the demon she was turned into.
And the show, I forgot what it's called, but in the Japanese anime Naruto, she's called the Kuibi.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's an Egyptian version of it. What is the one? Is it succubus or like it's an Egyptian Greek version of that too? I was trying to
But
figure out that was on American Gods.
well, I know what you're talking about, but she was a goddess, but this one was different. I mean, the same in the idea of like taking the souls, but this was like it started with a K, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was like basically it was like a fox with 9 tails, right?
Yeah.
And so those things coming out of her body were the 9 tails, which also I thought was dope because based in, I don't know, is it mysticism? Or they always talk about the 9 orifices of the body. So I
Mhm.
wonder if those were like directly correlated.
Yeah. Do you all think that if she did take Tic's soul, if she did capture 100 souls, was that truly going to lift the curse?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think so
either.
I didn't think so either. But I think the most interesting thing about the episode was that I'm sorry.
Kimiko.
Thank you.
Kimiko, yeah.
She was able to see his future, as part of that. And I wanted to go back and look at those little scenes, but it seems that, Tic has some other lovers, and I don't know if they were either before or after Journey Smollett. So I need to go back and look at the episode again.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was wondering, did they basically come out that he was lying and he wasn't a virgin? Like,
No. So from the minute she pushed him off of her, I think she started seeing his future and not his past.
Okay.
So I think she was seeing everything that was going to occur after he left Korea. There was another lover he had that was somebody other than Journey Smollett. And I don't know if that was from the time he was in Florida before he went back to Boston. But yeah, I forgot what your question was.
That Virgin game. I was like, man, that was vicious. So he played that Virgin game, like,
yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, man, he's doing it big.
You already got it though, bro. It was already gonna happen. You didn't have to say that. What to make you think you was innocent?
Just landed on
Got it, baby.
Like, good grief.
You put extra icing on the cake for no reason.
Right. He's like, oh, you really want me to meet your mama? Okay, I got it. I don't know. I looked at it like I was wondering if she saw, because I didn't know if I necessarily saw him die. I mean, I saw him being suspended.
Yeah.
Whatever that device was, and I was wondering. I was like, I wonder if it just shot up to when he was put up on. They used him for that gateway at the house.
That's what I thought, that she thought he was going to die. I didn't think that it was like he's going to die again. I thought that she only saw it up to that point of him in Boston.
Right. I thought
but that suspension scene looked different from when he was in
It did.
I think that's the same thing.
Unless, maybe he about to run up into another order and then go try it again.
Yeah, I mean, we know that there's that whole town of them in Boston.
White sheriff. What was up with his? Was he like half monkey or something?
Who?
In episode 5, when Ruby was in the closet with that dude that was locked up.
That was hanging on this. They had him hanging up on by a hook.
Like the sheriff came in and changed his shirt, and like his shoulders and torso were dark. Like, was he a monkey or was he part black? Like,
because he was like, I was wondering. Yeah, he was like shaded. Yeah.
Yeah, like what was that?
Yeah, he was dead though, and they brought him back to life. Is that
the sheriff was?
No. The guy that they had tied up in the closet.
Yeah, no. He had a lot going on with him too. And I'm talking about the actual sheriff. He went in there. She was planting that whatever it was she needed to plant at his desk. He came.
I need to see because
it did look like he was a monkey or ape or something.
Yeah.
Maybe he was. Maybe I need to look at it because I had thoughts about that, and I wonder. I can't remember if it was hair or did I think it was burns. Because I was thinking about him being at the explosion of the big house.
Oh, it could be Burns because maybe he was the only one that was there. Because he knew about the bodies. He knew about the bodies and all that. Because maybe he was there, like you said, when the house burned up.
When the house burned up. But that was just I wasn't sure. I didn't, because if he looked like the dude off of, Umbrella Academy, then right, exactly. Then it might be a little different. Now you can't do that, Sky, because now you got me thinking all they doing is stealing from Japanese anime. So you got Goku, you got Naruto. We gotta see what's next. I don't know. I have to go back and look at it.
Did you all look at Tick differently after episode 6?
No.
I did a little. Well, I looked at him as, I thought it was just kind of a telltale of like what they say happens to you when you go into the, when you go to war, right? Especially as you brainwashed. So he's just kind of like doing whatever he's told to make it. Not to mention he's not allowed to, come back home and be received as everybody else is going to be, right? So he's just doing whatever he can to survive and, make what he can make while he's there. I don't even know if it was. I mean, he said he admitted it though. He's like, I've done some things I'm not proud of. But, you being in the Army, that's almost expected.
Right.
What about you, Scott? Did your perception change of him from after
he's
the
a little bit
backstory
more
you found out?
sucker. He's a little bit more sucker than I expected him to be. But as far as the violence goes, because if you look,
You saying that because he was a virgin?
well, no, not just because he was a virgin. How quickly he went from not caring about any of the women that were in that situation because they were. To like, oh, I'm so in love with you, and I never felt this way, and I'm crying about it. Like, oh, that's pretty fast. I mean, like,
hey, he was trying to get something before he died.
Again, like I said, so much sucker. Like it was way too much sucker. He could just got a comfort woman and got it out. I mean, like the violence part. I mean, it's what I expected. I mean, Korea was. No one talks about nice stories from Korea.
Yeah,
that's real. You think that he did? Go ahead, Raven.
No, I just thought it was a little bit inconsistent with what we know about his character so far. But I honestly don't think there's been a whole lot of character development throughout the show. So I think we're still learning something, about him. But from what we know so far, it just seems inconsistent. I would think he would have been a little bit more self-righteous in those moments of being asked to kill women for their beliefs. But I mean, it added some more depth to him, but it's still kind of unexplained, and I still don't know how I feel about him.
I thought it was. I think that's a good point, though, and maybe that's his arc is him becoming a little more self-righteous because he's kind of got to deal with the same thing, being black in America. But I thought the reason why he attached so hard to girl was because he found somebody. Basically, they bonded over nerdiness, right? Like, he wants her to read the book of what was it?
Count of Monte Cristo.
Count of Monte Cristo. Right. She's talking about the movie, so they're kind of into the same things, and maybe he's not finding that. Because it seems like that was kind of what I got from him up until that point was that he's just he's into sci-fi. He's like he's blurred in the 50s, and there's really not outside of his family. There's really not many people that are matching him on that level. And to run into somebody that he can go back and forth with, he's like, I need to hold on to this at least while I'm here.
I feel you on that. I think that's why it didn't bother me because, in fact, he fell in love with a Korean fox demon who is seeing souls out doing sex, and he is the ancestor of white wizards. You know what I'm saying? That are trying to bring Eve. The Garden of Eden on Earth after him fighting. I'm also fighting like haunted houses. So it's like I've seen so much. It's like him just liking some woman because she read the Count of Monte Cristo. I was the whole time I was sitting there waiting, like, okay, well, maybe it's the fact that she has this demon connection that makes him resonate, and maybe that makes them, like I was expecting something a little bit more metaphysical than just, she likes the same book. It's like,
you bring up a good point, though. You bring up a really good point.
Well, no, I'm surprised he was shocked about everything that's going on right now in his life. Like
that's what I'm saying. He ain't shocked. I think that's the whole point.
Is that why he was under pressure when he was like, oh, no, I got this. What we got to do is when he was in the house, like he was.
Exactly. Dude, you just have to bump at uglies with a fox demon that tried to take your soul right before you let one off. And now, after that, you can't get scared no more. Oh, it's some white supremacist ghosts in here. We're good. It's fine. Yeah. Oh, there's an underground cavern that's been abandoned since Harriet Tubman went through this motherfucker. This cool. I know exactly where all the boulders are coming from. Right? Yeah. We got gophers chasing us with 1,000,000 eyes. It's cool, you know. I
I
got
think
nothing
he
to worry
provided a
about.
little bit more context as to why he called her from the mansion, where that encounter with her is probably the most fucked up shit he had ever seen, and now he, look, maybe she ain't so bad. There's some real fucked up shit going on in this world.
But like,
He
man,
said, we can make this work.
hey,
I'm
look,
sorry.
it's like when you break up with a girl, then you like, dang, man, it's bad out in these streets. Let me call her back.
I gotta be honest with you, it makes the fact that he slept with Journey Smollett so much more weird because he slept with a woman who was a fox demon when he had no expectation that was the world he lived in. After the vampires, after the white supremacist wizards, then he was still just trying to let's get it in a haunted house. Like it's like, yo, bro, like the thirst is a tad too strong for me.
I mean, I think with Journey, he was just looking for something regular, right? Like, he's, as a matter of fact, he was trying to avoid that whole, interaction between them for a little minute. And stuff got repressed. He caught her in the right moment. Now,
That's a hard bridge to get over. It. The PTSD of almost getting murdered by demon tails and your eyes and ears and nose.
I tell you what though, if that WAP is that fire, I don't know how many other ways that you want to go out.
She's a virgin though.
No, not Journey.
He talking about.
I'm talking about. Hey, too many people can say they had Fox Demon WAP. That's all I'm saying.
And live to tell about.
And live to tell about it.
It's a very short list.
Fox Demon WAP.
He probably had a Bardo drinking, but man, have you had this? Have you had a Fox Demon WAP?
And you know what the first question was? So was it Harry?
Right.
It was. It engulfed me, man. It engulfed me. Bro.
Can you imagine going to the bar trying to tell your fellas about what happened? Yo, bro,
yes.
You don't believe what happened to me. And then you say it's the thing. It didn't happen.
Like nigga,
Scott,
she had tails coming out her ears, so you gotta think about
and
Scott, it tickled my butthole a little bit. I like
Scott,
it.
That Asian dude that was his homeboy, he can't go back to him and be like, man, so you just getting back, so what happened? Like, what do you say?
Nothing. Nothing.
He went out the house bucket naked, like he was at his clothes, his arm. Can you imagine in the 50s a black dude running down the street naked with some GI uniform? Like there's a whole bad situation over there.
Completely.
You just roll with it.
Yeah, the ramifications of Tick with this is definitely bigger than I originally thought with this whole thing.
And the worst part is, ain't nobody, like you said, ain't nobody he could share this with. Even if they did, he can't even tell nobody.
I wonder if he told his uncle on an off-camera thing of like, hey, uncle, I've been through some crazy shit already. I got this. Like, I already had
ain't no way.
Spots.
They submitted him to the insane asylum.
You die with the lie.
No, I'm talking about after you seen these. No, I'm talking about after we jumping off all this stuff, and after the vampire-ish things, the white supremacist vampire things. Do you think he told his uncle to like, look, there's some other stuff that happened to me before? Or you think that? Because obviously, remember they said they thought he had PTSD before when they got their mind sweep. So he probably was like, I can't tell nobody nothing. Then they experienced this and don't believe it.
Man, as sexually repressed as people are in general, and then you talk about you over at the war and some chick you fell in love with had Fox demon pussy.
Hey. I was just thinking that
you can't do it.
He can't even open up to Journey Smollett. She was like, so you almost gave me genital fleas, nigga.
Yeah.
Do that.
No.
You can't do it. You gotta just sit on that one. You gotta convince yourself that shit didn't really happen.
No, completely.
So do y'all think these how many lodges did they say they were?
34?
It's 34.
Yeah, like that, 34. Yeah.
So basically 34 34 major cities almost basically. I would probably venture to say.
Yeah.
Sound about right.
Yeah.
Seems like a good. Although the first lodge wasn't a major city, it was in the middle of fucking nowhere, Connecticut, right, or Maine?
No, Massachusetts.
That's exactly.
But I'll say, it'd be like saying like you in Wentzville. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a part of it's close to a major city.
Is there a major city in Connecticut?
No, in Massachusetts. It's in Massachusetts.
Oh, Massachusetts. Okay, Boston.
Yeah. Massachusetts ain't big at all. I mean, that state's as big as from here to Columbia. So that's an area that. But so what are y'all thoughts on Journey Smollett's kind of arc with Tick? Like when we talk about women in this show.
I think the sexual relationships are the least interesting parts of the show. Like there's so much other stuff. Like what's the relationship between Journey and her brother and sister? What happened with her mother? Who's her father? Is her father's, does she have different parents than her other two siblings? Like it's like the stuff about boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl. Like that seems like the least interesting part of that relationship. Like the backstory, like Raven said, there's not a lot of character detailing and character buildup. So it kind of leaves you wanting more as far as, well, who are these people? And why have these particular set of people? Because it's one thing for her name escapes you, the blonde woman, to give Tic
Christine.
money. What's her name? Christina?
Christine.
Yeah. It's one thing for her to give Tic money because there's possibly familiar relationship here. But why choose Journey? Like Journey was just a tag along. Had they not been attacked by those white supremacists with the pickup truck, she very well could just stay with her brother and not been along for the rest of the ride. So why choose
her in the first place? Yeah.
Yeah. So why choose her to give all that money to so she could buy this house looking for some ancient artifact that he believes Tic's family has? It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think she's had a character arc yet, or at least I hope not. She's a really boring character. But we do know that she and Ruby have different fathers. And didn't Ruby say her dad was white, or she was? I know I think she's her. Yeah, I think she is too. I know Ruby referred to her as her half sister, and she made that very clear when she was talking to Christina William. She said she's like my sister. She said my half sister, like she put an emphasis on it. So there's some feelings of I don't know what they're based on. She has some feelings about what is Journey Smallest character's? I don't know why I cannot remember her name.
Is it Tisha or Tisha?
Letitia or Letty, that's what they're called.
Letty, yeah. It's Letitia, I think is her real name. But
Raven, record what you just said again and put some stank on it with your half sister part. Put some stank
my half sister.
Yeah, put some stank.
You have to roll your neck.
So you don't think she has had an arc yet?
No, I hope not.
You talking about Letty?
Yeah,
my wife introduced a piece of information that we all forgot. Her name is Letitia motherfucking Jenkins from episode 2.
That's true.
Yeah.
Letitia motherfucking Jenkins, right? So is her last name Jenkins? That she took. I'm sure I know there are white Jenkins, obviously.
Yeah, they owned a bunch of slaves. That's why.
Right. But we have taken that over. We have taken Jenkins has become black.
She said they owned it. They owned all the slaves. Apparently, because
there's a lot of Jenkins.
Them 3.
And Johnson, right? You said Johnson.
And matter of fact, all we doing is just naming all the orders. Those are like 4 of the 34 orders.
Jenkins, Johnson, Smith.
They all plantation owners coming throughout the United States.
So what do y'all think? Going forward with the show, what do y'all kind of think or envision, or are you kind of like whatever? Are you confused going forward with what would potentially be happening going forward?
There's a lot going on, but the common theme that I'm seeing is that they've come up with ways to conquer or cope with all kinds of shit, performing exorcisms, racist ghosts and demons coming out of the ground, or monsters, and but then the biggest fear that everybody has is racism, and it's kind of an interesting parallel to what we're dealing with today.
What about you, Ted?
I have no idea where this is headed. Like, now that y'all have dropped some of this information, I'm like, damn. I wonder if they've already been using this whole cloning situation to manipulate Tic and them. Like, are they really just pulling the puppet strings? Because I didn't even think about the whole house situation. Like, what purpose does it serve for her to get in the house? Like, why would she move this money to let Letty get this house? Like, why couldn't she get the house instead? If that was the case, if that's where they knew where it was.
Yeah, why they just get themselves and just
you said what?
Why they just didn't get it themselves and get it?
Right, exactly. If it was necessary, like, so to me, that sounds like there's some puppet mastering going on. But going forward, man, I don't have the slightest clue, bro. Like, it's so, like, I understand, like, this last episode was a retro. Mm-hmm. So, So I don't know. It's just I'm just watching it to see what happens at this point. It's hard to make guesses.
All right, you Scott?
Yeah, I'm with Ted. I can't make a prediction yet. The only prediction I can make is if 6 months from now, if we were to rewatch this series, none of the things we've talked about at this point would have been important. I think each episode being a standalone narrative is a misdirect from some of the nuances that are also in those episodes. Again, what was the purpose of Michael K. Williams' character not really saying anything that whole episode? We hadn't really got a whole bunch of character backstory. They alluded to him being gay a couple episodes earlier, and then in episode 5, they spend a third of the episode, him exploring that. He specifically, he specifically called, I forgot the name, but the person that was in the tombs, he gave her a female pronoun, and he goes to this drag bar, and he has this whole awakening, and it didn't really line up for how little we learned about any of the other characters previously. We spent a ton of time with Letty. We spent a ton of time with Tick. We spent a ton of time with his father and Ruby, and we don't know much about them at all other than just the small interactions. They spent a whole bunch of time doing that. And I feel like, again, if we rewatch this episode, more of the stuff that seems subtle are going to have more of an important role at the end at the climax. Because what else could it be, right? Like, we've already had white supremacist cops. We've had the white supremacist wizards. We've had a haunted house. We've had, a wolf woman. We've had, women skin chasers and stuff. And so they're all looking for this thing that we've seen before in the episode, but didn't really have any importance. And we've seen that globe like 4 or 5 times, right? It didn't seem important, but my episode 7 is pretty much what they're looking for. And so I feel like they've given us hints that we can't quite put together yet because we don't have enough information to really kind of project what's going to happen. But I think that's what they're going to do. I think it's going to be a huge, massive misdirect.
What do we have? 2 episodes left?
3.
3.
4.
Yeah, 4. 10.
4?
It's 10. Yes,
Okay.
4.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought there were only 8 episodes. Okay, well, that's reassuring that we have 4 left, because I was like, they got a lot to cover in 2 episodes. One other thing I've seen people commenting about is like whether or not we can trust Christina. I don't think so. I think that, she has a completely selfish motive without any care for Tick, Letty, or anybody else. And I know that Jordan Peele does not like white savior shit. So I just see more evil representation from her.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, I was wondering, even going back farther, and this is something we could kind of close it out with, and going to what you were talking about, Scott, with Michael K. Williams' character, find out you really explained him being gay. Does it go back to the idea that Courtney B. Vance is his dad, and that's all a misdirect thing of maybe he was cheating on Hippolyta, or this was his girl before, or something like that, and it was a misdirect to put it on him. It's like, yo, you act like it's your kid, nobody will think you're gay. I can get off of this situation of not having a kid there, but I'll be there all day, every day. But then you see the way that he treats Tick. And this is not a mutually exclusive, but it seems like he doesn't care at all. And of course, it could be your blood and people don't care at all. But I think they keep on showing like that this person is not his, and that's why he treats him the way he does.
And it's possible. I mean, Michael K. Williams' partner that we find out in episode 5 is one of the first people we're introduced in episode 1, and it seemed like just a
random thing. It is, yeah. It's meant as a random dude he was trying to meet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then he wound up having this really important part in his father's life that, unbeknownst to us, is the guy from episode 1. And they've done several things like that throughout the season, and I feel like that's really the theme of the season, since none of the individual narratives really tie together in a very definitive way thus far. If you take out the events, if you take out the fact that certain people met in other episodes, the events that happen in episodes 1 and 2, other than meeting Christina and and introducing the characters, none of that stuff really has anything to do with what we're watching today.
What do you think about that, Raven? The idea that Tick is Courtney B. Vance's son, actually.
I mean, they keep hinting at that, and I'm wondering why it matters one way or the other. So I don't know one way or the other, whose son he is or why it matters. But I mean, I think it's completely a possibility that Courtney B. Vance is his dad. But I've also heard some predictions that he's not actually dead. And that's the only reason why I think there would be why that storyline would even be relevant.
Is it the idea that we haven't seen his body? Like they didn't bring his body back? Is that what they're kind of going with?
Yeah, that's what the commentary that I see is that, we didn't actually see him die either. So either that, Michael K. Williams actually killed him or he's not actually dead. I don't know if I buy into that theory either, but I just think there has to be something more with Courtney B. Vance's character for us to care one way or the other who his real dad is.
And he's on the cover, and he's on the poster for the show too. If he was just
I mean that, and like one of the I like look at IMDb after all the time, and you kind of get spoilers that way. So I know that there are other episodes for his character. They could just be flashbacks, but same thing for Tony Goldwyn, who is Christina's dad. I know that he's supposed to resurface in some other episodes too. So.
Okay. That's gonna be interesting. I didn't even think about that. He could be alive still. Wow.
Well, yeah. I mean, we didn't see the funeral. I mean, we assumed because he was in the car that they brought him back. But what if they told Hippolyta that they buried him out?
They did though. They said they left his body there. Remember?
I don't.
That's why I think that the beginning of that episode they showing her like I got to go figure out what happened there and why he was left there.
It's going to be used. They're going to do the same thing they just did with William and
Christina?
Ruby. Yep.
You said it's going to be who?
Used as in this part of the metamorphosis.
So you think that he's somebody else right now?
No,
I'm saying that
they use his form.
Oh, okay. Use his
I like
form.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that'd be interesting. Okay.
That's how they're gonna recover. It's probably gonna be Christina.
So
once they to come back and take the thing off of Hippolyta.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be ill. That'd be ill. All right, let's wrap it on up. Raven, where can they hit you up at?
You can hit me up on Instagram, Miss Culture, or Raven Akram on Facebook. I don't have Twitter or anything else.
Teddy.
Theodore Simpson IV on Facebook. I don't do nothing on IG because I don't never look out there. So.
Scott, where can they hit you up at?
I don't social media.
There you go. All right. Everybody email us their questions, landocalpod@gmail.com. We'll be back in 3 episodes to cover more of Lovecraft Country. Peace.